Welcome back. I'm Alaina Schwartz. Why are boundaries important in the workplace? In this video, I'm going to be covering why setting boundaries in your business is absolutely mission critical for the success of you and your business. So stay tuned. First, we're going to go over the kinds of boundaries that money and success love. Next, I'm going to show you how creating boundaries can actually create success in your business. Then I'm going to reveal why people have a hard time really setting clear boundaries. I'm also going to be providing 2 key things that you can be doing in your workplace to allow A+ team members to thrive. By the end of this video, you're going to have 3 steps to be able to create clear boundaries that's going to allow you to take your business to the next level. So let's dive in. Money and success love boundaries. Now I'm going to give you a whole host of reasons why. When you set clear boundaries, it allows you to bring your best self to your work. Right? What happens when you're bringing your best self to your work? You get the best results too. When you set clear boundaries, it allows you to determine when you start and stop working in your business so that your business doesn't bleed over and overtake your life. Because that's what I experience with so many entrepreneurs who come to me. Their businesses consume their life and their relationships and their health in the process, right? It's like this never-ending feed that they have to keep feeding it, but it never ever grows to the level that they want despite how much they feed. It also allows you to set clear response time for your messages in your emails. I have one client, for example, who is top 10 in her industry and is accustomed to answering pretty much on demand. And she wants me to answer on demand. I'm like, I don't work on the weekends. If you message me over the weekend, you're gonna have to wait for Monday. I'm sorry. Like, I love you unless it's urgent. If you send me a message that's urgent, I will respond. But most people don't have urgent things going on that they can't wait for me to be in the hours I want to work, right? So being able to set up those boundaries with your customers and clients in advance, with your team members, for example. Like, I really try to have my team not work all hours of the day. I'm like, this should not be consuming your life. You should be working and you should be having a life. And it's okay to go back and forth between the two. I don't have a problem with that. I just don't want you working all the time. So being able to set clear boundaries around your time allows those things so that you can create the lifestyle business that ultimately you want. It also allows you to calendar and schedule focus blocks. Now, when you can block out time for specific tasks, you can get a lot more done in less time. But if you're allowing people to bleed into those focus blocks and constantly interrupt, or you're constantly, getting messages from people or emails that you feel like you have to respond, and you're not setting boundaries around that focus block. For example, I'm going to be working on this for the next 2 hours. I won't be available. Really clear, right? So that somebody can wait for 2 hours to contact you. And then you could create a mini focus block when that time is done to answer anybody's emails or, interruptions that they had, so that they're not interrupting your workflow, because distraction crushes your workflow. It expands time, but not in a good way. It expands the amount of time that it takes to get tasks done. When you set clear boundaries, it allows you to do the work you most love to do. And isn't that what we all want to be doing in our businesses? The work that we most love to do. Why do we want to be doing things we don't love to do? Right? That's for other people to do who love to do that. I don't want to do the work that I don't love. I only want to focus on the work that I love. And setting clear boundaries of like, that's your job, then makes it easier for me to do my job and be a genius at my job. You also set clear boundaries around the topics you will and won't discuss with your team and even with clients. Now, I know they talk about coaches not discussing their personal life, but I find that when I discuss things that are happening in my business or with me personally, as it relates to what my client is experiencing in the moment, that it really helps them. I don't dive deep. I don't unpack it for them. I don't have any emotional triggers left when I do it, which is really key. If you're still emotionally triggered about something, do not share that with your clients or customers. Like, they don't need to be processing your stuff with you. That's not what they're there for, right? So it allows you to decide what you're going to share, what successes and failures, quote unquote failures, that you're going to share with your team and with other people. And it allows you to gain clarity on what you're not going to share. It also, when you set clear boundaries, it'll allow you to determine how much time you're going to allow yourself to ruminate over something and when you're going to be done with that, right? Now, I don't actually recommend the kind of rumination or spiraling that most people do, which is they almost keep catastrophizing things, right? Making it worse and worse and worse. What you can do is actually unpack it. You can understand, why did this happen? What happened? What was the lesson for me to learn from this? What do I need to learn so it doesn't have to happen again, right? But you can set a clear amount of time that you're going to allow that to happen before you go, okay, it's time to heal from this and move on. I'm not going to continue feeling crappy about myself anymore, or crappy about the situation, or keep thinking I messed up when it was just a lesson for me to learn. When you have clear structure, it allows for a lot of freedom. Without structure, there's chaos. Right? So it doesn't have to be micromanaged, but structure itself allows for a lot of freedom. And when you create that structure for you and your team, you're able to create a lot of freedom in your work by setting those healthy boundaries. And that is absolutely key. There are certain things that I will not do. Like, my team knows that up until 11 a.m. is CEO time for me. If somebody's trying to get something from me during my meditation, you're going to have to wait till I'm done. I'm not going to respond to you till after I'm done, right? So it allows for your team to have a tremendous amount of freedom within that structure. Often people will overcommit themselves because they don't have clear boundaries. Maybe you're a people pleaser and you're afraid to say no, for example. I was recently asked a question about whether ghosting was a better alternative to actually saying no to somebody that you wanted to have a continued relationship who might not hear no. Let's say, for example, this person is in multiple groups with you and you really want to have a great relationship and you're going to be seeing each other, so you don't want it to feel really ridiculously awkward, but you don't want to say yes to the work that they're asking you to do. And when I was asked this question, it was like, well, how do I say no without pissing this guy off or make it really awkward for our entire group, because now we have this conflict between us? And I said, you know what? I really love having you as a friend and being in these groups with you. And I'm concerned that by saying no to this, that I'm going to disappoint you and it's going to make it awkward for the group. And I don't want to make that happen. And I also don't have the bandwidth to say yes to this. So I can't say yes to your requests about this, even though I would love to support you and help you. And if that changes for me, I'll let you know. Now, who's going to feel really crappy about that? That was authentic, right? If it does come from an authentic place. Saying something like that will actually set a really clear boundary that will be able to clear the air, because if you ghost somebody, but then you have interaction with them again, how weird is that? Now you're just adding weirdness upon awkwardness, and it doesn't actually have to be that way when you set a clear boundary in a loving way. So understanding how to communicate in a healthy way is key to be able to say no in a way that can be received well. And being able to say no like that will stave off burnout, because if you're saying yes to everything that everybody wants of you, plus trying to say yes to the things you want you to do, how many hours of the day is there? How many of you is there, right? It is going to create burnout. You're going to have to make choices about what's really in your highest good to do. And I don't mean highest good from an ego place. I mean highest good from a true self place of what's really in the highest good to move your mission forward and for you to say yes to you in the most loving way. And the more that you can do that, the more you will magnetize success and money to you. Now, here's a key. As a leader, to set clear and direct communication and be transparent. And you have to determine what level of transparency is important in your particular business. Now, I had a client who actually had a team of about 12, and she used to share so many of her personal things with her because she wanted to be one of the group, right? She ran a recruiting agency and she wanted to be one of the group. I helped her realize that they weren't respecting her because she was doing oversharing. She didn't need to overshare things about her personal life. She could create camaraderie with it by sharing about the vision, about the mission, about other things, but she didn't have to divulge those personal things. It was only because she wanted to be liked by her team. And when she actually stopped oversharing and started to help other people understand about clear communication, she was able to create an A-list team of high performers, and it really helped move the needle forward in her business as a result. Being able to set that, because high performers love to be able to be transparent. They love direct communication. So being able to set that up front will allow you to really be able to retain top talent, which is really key, right? You don't, especially in this day and age, we don't want to be losing our top talent. We want to be creating cultures that allow our top talent to thrive, and direct and honest communication is key to being able to do that. I am really direct and honest. My mother will say painfully so, but most other people don't feel like it's painful because they appreciate the directness and honesty. You always know where you'll stand with me, and if I have an issue with you, you'll know that too, but it won't be in a place that's going to make you feel terrible about yourself. It's going to be in a place of like helping you understand what's really going on so we can course correct and make this work together. So I love to offer valuable content on how to set clear boundaries, on how to set no, on how to shave time off of your work week so you can actually start having more times to say yes to the things that you want to say yes to. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can stay up to date on content. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a few steps in helping you set really clear boundaries in a loving way. The first step is understanding where you need to set boundaries. Look at and create awareness around where you feel resentments in your life. Wherever you're feeling those resentments in your life, you have boundaries that you've allowed, and I really want you to be clear about this, allowed other people to trample on, right? Because we teach people, we train people how to treat us. And if you've allowed people in the past to stampede your boundaries, you've created a lot of resentment as a result of that. And so understanding where do I have resentment will help you understand where you have boundaries that you haven't taken a stand for. Next, you want to clear the emotion around the boundaries so that when you set clear boundaries that you aren't triggered. Because setting boundaries from a place of trigger is the other person's going to feel that energy kind of come through. And rather than hearing what you're saying, they're feeling the energy. And there's a disconnect between what you're saying and the energy you're having. So make sure you clear the energy first before you set that clear boundary. Take some time for yourself to unpack it so you can get really clear on the emotions that you're having and why you're having them and what the deeper root is so that you can clear it out of the way. I'll give you an example. I had a client very recently say to me that she went on vacation with her husband, her family, and his parents. And in the process, she realized by saying yes to so many things that the parents wanted, which were aligned with the things that she wanted too, how there was a disconnect between her and her husband. And what I had to make her see is that it wasn't that she was now seeing the disconnect between her and her husband. What she was seeing was the disconnect between herself and herself. She wasn't setting clear boundaries in the past, and because she wasn't setting clear boundaries, she was now noticing this behavior. And as soon as she started putting herself first, she was able to get to the root of it and understand where her disconnection was from herself and how to set clearer boundaries with herself, which will allow her to see her marriage in a completely different way. You may receive some pushback, but hold to it. And if you want to practice how to do this, start with a low stakes environment. Things you don't have a lot of, you don't care as much about. Start in a low stakes environment. One of the things that holds entrepreneurs back from the success they want is the fear of failing. Right? And so make sure you watch this upcoming video because I'm going to unpack so you can understand what that's really about so it's no longer holding you back from taking your business to the next level. Thanks. I'm Alaina, and I'll see you in the next video.